Hello, students and teachers. My name is Sarah Clavon. I teach AP Literature and Composition as well as Teacher Pathway at Lincoln High School in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. This video is the final one in a series that's working toward understanding, interpreting, and reciting poetry, specifically created for Poetry Out Loud. We've been employing several strategies to help us understand and interpret poems. We read the text multiple times and in varied ways, and then we start to notice. We've worked on noticing shifts, both from stanza to stanza and even from line to line. We've looked at noticing contrasts, especially contrasting language. We've looked at repetition of language and similarities of language, looking for patterns of ideas and images. So I guess, where do we go from here? It's time for recitation. All of this understanding and interpreting can only help us as we work to recite our poem. Using the evaluation criteria provided in the Judge's Guide, taken from the Poetry Out Loud website, there are 5 areas that we are helped with when we understand and interpret a poem. These 5 areas or 5 criteria can be addressed in this way. Physical presence. So we have to think about how we gesture and how we carry ourselves on the stage reciting a poem. You might even consider where you direct your gaze or focus. Maybe that attention or focus shifts when there's a shift in the poem. For voice and articulation, that's all about projection and rhythm and pacing. Perhaps the pacing of the poem changes so that it reflects changing tones. For example, if the poem moves from something sorrowful, it might be a little more slow, to something joyful and full of enthusiasm and excitement, and that might be a little bit faster. The third area is dramatic appropriateness. This is one we have to be careful about, right? Because we want to certainly interpret the poem in a way that honors the poet's message and language and words, and I'll quote from the Judge's Guide, without overshadowing the poem's language. So we don't want our interpretation to take away from the original text, but only to help our audience understand that text better. We are the instrument for that poet's words. The fourth area is evidence of understanding. Boy, if we've done all this annotation and thinking, if we have noticed those shifts and contrasts, the repetition, the similarities or patterns of language, we're certain to understand this text. And that comes through the words that we emphasize, where we place a pause, the kind of tone that we use, and our own style. And then finally, the overall performance, which means that all of these are unified together. They work together. And as the Judge's Guide says, to breathe life into the poem. So again, we want to honor the poet's words and message, not letting our own interpretation overshadow, but only enhance those words. As we read through Castillo's Christmas 1970 one last time, I want you to listen for how those shifts and contrasts, the repetition and the similarities or patterns in language might come through in this recitation. Listen for changing pace or tone. Listen for the times when you might notice a smile in my voice, even if you can't see it on my face. Let's take one last look at Christmas 1970 by Sandra Castillo. We assemble the silver tree, our translated lives, its luminous branches numbered to fit into its body, place its metallic roots to decorate our first Christmas. Mother finds herself opening, closing the Red Cross box she will carry into 1976 like an unwanted door prize, a timepiece, a stubborn fact, an emblem of exile measuring our days, marked by the moment of our departure, our lives no longer arranged. Somewhere there is a photograph. A Polaroid mother cannot remember was ever taken. I am sitting under Tia Tere's Christmas tree, her first apartment in this, our new world. My sister's by my side. I wear a white dress, black boots, an 8-year-old's resignation. May and Mitzi, age 4, wear red and white snowflake sweaters and identical smiles. On this, our first Christmas, away from ourselves. The future unreal, unmade. Mother will cry into the new year with Lydia and Emerito, our elderly downstairs neighbors, who realize what we are too young to understand. Even a map cannot show you the way back to a place that no longer exists. Students and teachers, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for your time and your work. Keep reading poetry and reciting it. Best wishes and warm thoughts. Take care.